Hey now, welcome to another edition of Refreshing Thoughts. I'm your host, Chris Fresh, and I'm probably here to talk some toys. And toys, I'm going to speak. I have had a couple of deliveries over the past few weeks and sort of been gathering them all up so I can talk about them in the one episode. Your mileage may vary on what you think of the sport of kings professional wrestling. I work within wrestling, I've been a lifelong fan. And for me, probably my favorite line of wrestling figures were the WWF Hasbro figures that came out in the early to mid 90s. And what we have seen over the past few years, it's probably been 7 or 8 years now, is the return of these style of figures or retros as they're known, and multiple companies making them. Mattel sort of got the ball rolling with their figures, and I've got mixed feelings on how I feel about the Mattel retro figures. I do tend to get them, not modern characters. Like for me, um, aside from the odd ECW and WCW or Japanese character, I try and keep it up until around the beginning of 1998, like starting the Attitude Era, because I always say my wrestling fandom is at its peak sort of from 1987 through till the end of 1997. Which, yes, it does sound like I've got sore feelings over the Montreal screw job because I'm a massive Bret Hart fan. But it's not that. It's just I remember everything. Titles weren't changing as much. It was more important. It's just something that to me, near and dear in my heart, wrestling felt bigger and better. And maybe it was a symptom of me being younger and everything seems more impressive when you're younger. Um, and with these figures coming back, I've been collecting them. And your mileage may vary on what you think of them. I'm going to sort of get started with a figure that I'm not going to open. Well, a couple of figures, because there are multiple companies that are making retros. Mattel, FC Toys, Zombie Sailor, Epic Toys, KWK, TRT. Like there are retro figures coming out the wazoo. And Mikey J, who I work with at Wrestle Rock and in particular at Renegades of Wrestling. For those that are into wrestling and want to check out an awesome local product that's not WWE light, unlike some places. Renegades of Wrestling. I feel we're really hitting our stride and putting on some great shows, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about a figure I'm not opening, and that is the Zombie Sailor Toys Heels and Faces Sandman exclusive that was put up for pre-order, I believe, on the 4th of July last year. And it is the Sandman in his USA Zubaz. Very 90s sneakers there, which I do respect. He's got his Singapore cane and a beer can. To me, that is an awesome looking figure. Now, if you have a look, it is very reminiscent. Zombie's very detail oriented of a Hasbro figure. You've got a look at some figures that have come out and are soon to come out on the back, because I don't believe Macho King, I don't believe Ahmed Johnson has come out yet. I'm not sure about Power and Glory in the black. I've got them in the white. And there's even points and stuff. Like there's a nice touch. And what Zombie does is he gets Ron Rudat, who you might know from G.I. Joe figures or from a lot of Hasbro lines. He did the original artwork for WWF Hasbro figures, and Zombie actually gets Ron to draw the designs for his figures, which I think is awesome because it gives Ron a payday and it feels very authentic. Now, people will criticize Zombie figures saying they're too realistic. Yes and no, depending on the figure. But what I like about what Zombie's doing, like he's done an awesome Jeff Jarrett, which is one of the best retros to come out. But I feel he's going to create the best line of ECW figures that we've ever gotten. Now, I've gotten, apart from color variants, all of the original San Francisco Toy Makers ECW line. And but you know, Sandman, Sabu, the Public Enemy, Chris Candido, he's going to bring out a franchise Shane Douglas with Francine. Like they will be, it's going to be an amazing ECW line. It's just zombie stuff is slow from solicitation to even images to getting it in hand. Another figure that I am going to not open. I'm going to open a version of him that's not in yet, and I couldn't be bothered waiting. Wrestle Something Wrestlers from Figures Collections, FC Toys. Crush is one of my guilty pleasures in professional wrestling. I'm a big fan of Brian Adams, not the singer, the wrestler Crush. And the green carded Crush, which I do have, very rare figure to come by, Evil Crush as he's known, is one of the harder Crushes to come by. And they signed a deal with the estate of Brian Adams. And we got Crush in this red, which is a limited edition version of it. And the purple and black, which is sort of more like the Hasbro that came out, that one I will be opening. But see, they've got a bit of a different taste. They don't sort of have, like, their profile looks a bit different. Zombies is a lot more accurate to the Hasbros. But this is still a nice touch. Their figures are really nice. I got their Macho King Randy Savage and their headbangers and awesome toys. Like if you were into this, I highly recommend them. Now that to me is a Hasbro. It looks like a Hasbro. They feel pretty good too, these figures. So I highly recommend them. Now, the next figures I'm going to get to, I'm going to do this in 2 bits. I'm going to do Epic Toys, and then I'm going to do the Grapplers and Gimmicks Diesel because there's a fair bit of story and history behind that. But for those of you wondering, where do I get my Epic Toys retro figures from? And he's starting to get more and more figures, including the KWK Max Moon, is Go Figure Collectibles. They are based here in Melbourne. I've known Jeff forever. He is an amazing guy, runs a great business, has a great store. He is a fan. Like Jeff was in the trenches tape trading, waiting at the front of a radio station at a stupid o'clock to meet Mick Foley in 1999 with me. Jeff's been around for a long time. Go figure. He's quite well known in Australia in collectibles. He's been signing deals with like Epic Toys, KWK, and stuff like that to get figures. Now, I got to say, this Max Moon is pretty nice. I'm just checking the articulation because I'm a terrible poser. Pretty basic, much like Hasbro's were. Now, we'll talk about him later, but there were also talks that Mattel Retros are too big, and we can see a size comparison there. So I'm going to be doing a few different comparisons to see where we land on all this, because I've got all my retros sort of all together, and they all look like pretty much they fit in. But, you know, I hear people saying the Mattels are too big. Some of them are too small, like Chella Collectibles, which became Epic Toys. That was always criticized of being too small. So I don't know. We're going to have a look at that. But check out Go Figure Collectibles. I'm hoping he does a deal with Wrestle Something Toys, so we have a distributor for them as well. And Wrestling Store Australia. Here in Australia is where you can get your Zombie Sailor figures. If you're into Zombie Sailor figures, and they do some pretty big sales on those figures too. So go check them out. I'm not plugging them because I get a discount or get stuff for free. I don't. I buy them. I'm just pointing you in the right direction if you are in Australia like I am. So who's here to watch me open some toys? I hope you are. And if you are, please click like and subscribe on the video. It really helps get the word out there, and sharing it on social media, I'd really appreciate it too. But enough of me pleading for you to help grow my channel. Let's open some dollies. So I'm going to start with Barry Windham. Now this is from Epic Toys, or Wrestling Megastars is what they call the line. That hairstyle, if you painted it red, it's sort of very Axl Rose of the early 90s. Now, this is the back of their packaging. So once again, you can see it's different. Now, this is Series 3. Now, they have done what Mattel have done, and that is resealable packaging. So if you can see here, the plastic here, the card back slides out, and that's what we're going to do. So let's have a look at this. He's got a spare hand, so I'm going to be careful, which is very un-Hasbro-like. So got the card there. Pretty nice cardboard, feels pretty good. Very Hasbro-esque from the front there. I'm going to drop that. I knew I was going to drop his hand. So before I lose it. Now, Hasbro's did not have removable hands or removable really anything. Some of them had soft good accessories like Frankie the Bird and stuff like that. Honky's guitar. But these figures, now the vest, your mileage may vary for it. Nice paint apps on the boots. The likeness, it's okay, but Hasbro likenesses weren't always great. But I'm a big Barry Windham fan. Let's have a look. So we're gonna, it's his gloved hand. Now, I'm not going to force it too much, right? Because I don't know if I need hot water to do a pop and swap. That's not. But there we go. All right, the peg came out okay, and we've got a sort of open hand. There, just popped in like that, and we've got that hand. Like that. He's got like a clothesline action. A bit Widowmaker, if you remember Barry Windham's, like the hand like that. If you remember his run in the WWF at the late 80s, maybe very early 90s. But I don't know how I feel. I think I'm going to keep him with the fist. But I'm not going to toy around that. Look, these figures feel incredible. Like their weight feels good. Let's compare it to Max Moon. Barry Windham's a big guy. Like, I feel they look like they're in the same series, don't you? Now, the Mattel Diesel, so chunkier. Diesel should be taller, so I don't really mind that. But his arms and stuff are a lot more cartoony and stuff. Like the retros don't feel great in comparison to these. I'll be honest with you. They just don't. But that is Barry Windham. Who are we going to open next? We are going to open next, I think, I'm going to go with one of my favorite wrestlers, Dr. Death Steve Williams. Now, there's been a bit of talk about the soft goods robe, everything like that. A bit of a look at the card. But let's check it out. I'm going to take this out. We've got the artwork there. Now, Dr. Death was amazing. Him and Terry Gordy were a fantastic tag team, the Miracle Violence Connection. Now, here's what was weird. They've got the robe tied up at the back, but I'm not going to undo it. What I want to do is I'm going to see, can I just slide the knot around without causing too much of a fuss, because I really don't want to undo it. And I plan on keeping his robe on him because I think the robe does look good. Feels good. Yep. There we go. So that's a bit better. We've got that there. The Doctor is in. Great ECW event if you're an ECW fan. This is a nice figure. I much prefer this to Barry Windham. This is a really nice doc. Yeah. I don't know if I can get that there. The death written on the boots with the skull and crossbones. Dr. Death feels great, looks amazing. Yeah, top-notch figure on Dr. Death. The boot, the paint apps, the look, everything. Like, he's almost going to fit in my ECW collection. Like, that is a really nice figure. I really would love it if they got Terry Gordy and we got a Terry Gordy to go with him. That would be amazing. No, I'm wrapped with him. Like, that's going to be all jacked and take your head off. That is awesome. Now, I'm going to pause this for a second because I feel I should do a comparison and I haven't got my toys ready. So just give me a moment. Why would I be coming back to do comparisons, I hear you ask? It is the figure that I was feeling the most unsure about based on images online. Woo! The Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Now we've seen a few Flairs out there in the market, and this Flair is the first Flair with a soft goods robe. So let's go. He's got the robe around back, the tie around backwards as well. I wonder if that's a packaging reason that they do that. But there's a look at the card art. He's taken down Barry Windham. The Four Horsemen are having a bit of an argument. What's really a bit of a bummer is Grapplers and Gimmicks did Tully and Arn. So you could have that. But he gave them the same bodies, and the Arn looks pretty good, but the Tully's too wide. And I sort of don't want them because a lot of these guys jump company to company. And if we're going to get a better version of the Brainbusters, for lack of a better term, or Tully and Arn, and have the Horsemen on display, I'd have Wyndham, Flair, and the Busters all there together. But I don't know that he quite nailed them. So I'm going to wait. Did you get them? What do you think? Am I crazy in thinking Tully looks too stocky? I've met Tully. I met Arn Anderson too. I approached him for a photo as a teenager, and he told me to go away, which was heartbreaking because I really loved Arn Anderson. But fair enough. Leave wrestlers alone. I saw poor Demi getting hassled out by fans. Rhea Ripley getting hassled out by fans, and it's leave them alone. They're pretty good with signing stuff in that if you do it in an appropriate way. Flair has the tie around the back like Dr. Death. Hopefully, I can just spin this around. There we go. Now, this robe is beautiful. I'm hoping you can see the detail on that robe. This robe is a thing of beauty. Different texture, like that is a beautiful robe. Sort of put him with the big gold, like a Mattel big gold or a Jack's big gold would probably look good on him. You can see my eyes darting of like, do I have a figure with big gold that I could quickly display him with? But I should have done my homework proper. But what I wanted to compare him with is this is the original Hasbro. One of the weakest Hasbros I feel that they did. He's got the Rick Rude body like that. Now, let's compare. Like, I wasn't sure on the Flair face, but it kind of is a pretty good Flair. Similar era hairstyles, which is interesting. Look, you'd have to say Epic have created the best Flair, but until you get Zombie Sailor. And I think Zombie's done the best Flair. Now, obviously, your mileage may vary on the blood, but the Woo looks fantastic. The sculpt, weight feel wise, they both feel pretty good. But I think I've got to. What do you think? I think they're both pretty good, but I give the nod to Zombie, although the arm is long. That is a criticism of Zombie stuff. But they've both got the knee pads below the knees as Flair would wear them, which I respect. Both got that. Now, if we're going to go red trunks versus red trunks, the Zombie, like, way better than the vintage Hasbro. Like, two different worlds. But hold up, all three Flairs. What do you think? What's your favorite Flair? I'd love to hear. To me, I think Zombie's just going to get the nod for me. But Epic Toy is really doing good stuff, like really good stuff. And this to me was the main event, of Epic anyway. Barbarian, Barb. The photos of this figure have looked amazing. I've been dying to get my hands on it to have a look. Hasbro did the Warlord. We never got Barbarian, not in Powers of Pain style, but in their sort of singles run style. Oh my goodness. So that's the carding. It is a really nice, crisp cardboard there. And here we go. Now this is a premium figure. Look at that. Look at this Barb. That is a nice Barb. Yeah, I'm calling him Barb. How are you, Barb? That is a nice figure. Now he comes with his horn helmet. Oh my goodness, what a figure! What a figure! That is value for money. That is that's so soft. It's like a soft blankie. You can probably hear my son Connor in the background. Connor, blankie. It's a nice blanket. That Barb is incredible. That is pride of place. That is a fronter, as they say on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast and in the toy collecting world. That is a fronter, as in the front of your display. You're proud of this figure. Like, look at it, the detail, the feel. It is a fantastic, fantastic retro Hasbro wrestling style figure. Like, he is that you can't ask for more than that. Bravo. Like, he is. Dropped his horns as I was bringing the arm down, just checking there. It looks a bit odd. Like, you definitely have the arm up, if you know what I mean. Let's have a look now. That's going to drive me crazy. I'm not a player, so it doesn't really matter. You know, you're going to be sitting there. I'm just trying to see, can I get the horns to sit steady on the head? Yes, I do. That is a nice Barb. Yeah, I had it. I mean, I mucked around with the arms. There we go. But yeah, that is a nice Barbarian. That is going to be a pride of my retro display. So bravo, Epic Toys. I believe they're still in stock at Go Figure Collectibles if you want to get them. And I've got to recommend. Look, Wyndham's probably the weakest in there, which is a bit of a bummer. Stay down there, Barb. Let's grab. Barry's waving. He's going, yeah, it was me. Yeah, he's fine. But, you know, there's nothing there. Like, his vest isn't exceptional, like the Flair robe. You know, Flair's a little chubby in the face, but still pretty good. You know, he does look, it looks like Flair. Wyndham, he's okay. But controversy hit the retro wrestling world recently when a drop was done of Diesel figures. Now, why is that controversial? Well, Diesel, Kevin Nash's character Diesel, which he was in WWF, is trademarked to WWE. And we already know there's been some dicey licensing agreements. And I think everybody's sort of treading lightly in, let's not mess this up for everybody by crossing a copyright boundary and ruining it for everybody, because you've got the big rubber guys doing major bendies and the big rubber guys collect major. You know, you've got Epic Toys doing their stuff and that, and you just don't want WWE coming down TKO Sports with their big lawyer Banhammer. And Mitch, Hassle Toys, the Hustle Man, from Grapplers and Gimmicks, announced that he was dropping a range of Diesel figures and Oz, which is his WCW character, which is amazing, as a tribute to his wife, who very sadly passed away. And Kevin Nash was her favorite wrestler. And Kevin Nash is an amazing guy. Like, listen to his podcast, Politically On Point. GI Robot was right. And, you know, just he seems like, for as cool as he is, he could be, you know, a dick like a lot of wrestlers are, but Kev's just cool. You know, he was cool when I met him as a youngster, unlike Arn. You know, he is just too sweet, as the saying goes. And he agreed, and I assume they've worked something out with WWE where Kev said, can we please do this, to make retro Diesel figures. And the proceeds go to a charity towards the memory of Mitch's late wife, which is a beautiful story. And he made the missing link orange card Diesel, and he did it properly in, it looks like what the original Ron Ruda art looks like, unlike the Mattel Diesel, which I never did get my hands on, goes for a bit on a secondary market. They didn't really nail it. But I chose to get one. and I went for long-haired WWF World Champion Diesel because I don't know, when I remember Diesel, it's his run of as world champion, about awesome match against Bret, where Bret Hart wins the world title back from him at Survivor Series, and it's just a fantastic match. And then good friends, better enemies, like Diesel, like really did stand out for a very short period of time. And here we have it, the Grapplers and Gimmicks Diesel. Now, the first thing I will say is, from a card perspective, you know, the weakest of the bunch. But it doesn't matter to me who opens stuff, you know. But it says on the back, in loving memory of Danielle Alexandra, this one is for you, and all proceeds from this collectible will be donated in memory of Danielle. Now, that is beautiful. That is great sentiment. Just a great thing to do. Tremendous by Kevin Nash. On the back, we've got Diesel 94, Diesel 95, Oz, and Godfather. And this is a Diesel 95. The artwork I don't love, sort of like a weird AI sort of thing. But I'm going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to open him. So let's go. Comes off straight away. Like it's fine. Like, I'm not a packaging queen. So I don't care about that. And here we have Diesel 95. You definitely have the fist up in the air. Now, the first thing that stands out to me, and it's not just because I read about it, although I did read about it, is he is small, which is unfortunate. Because Diesel is a tall man, he's a big man, and this figure, like, looks okay, like it feels okay, like it's just a bit small. Now, what do I mean by a bit small? So let's take the KWK Max Moon, and Diesel looks small compared to Max Moon, not wide enough, not tall enough. It's like half a size off or something. So let's compare the Diesel to the Hasbro Ric Flair. Okay, but that Flair is probably known for being very scrawny. But what you will see is, let's go over Zombie Flair. They look like they're from two different worlds a little bit. And let's grab Barb. Barb, beautiful Barb. Yeah, it just feels a bit scrawny and tiny. Still cool. Now, forever on my Hasbro ring on display where the belt gets kept, I have kept the winged eagle with the ring. I've got a winged eagle that I put around Macho Man Randy Savage because I love his post WrestleMania 4 run as world champion. It's cool. But this is my spare one. I've always looked for extra belts, and I know some places sell them, but I can never really get them shipped to Australia or get them at a decent price. But I'd love to have a heap of belts just for my display. But we are going to put this around Diesel because I think the black and gold will look cool, and I want to see how well the belt fits around Big Kev's. Oh boy, that belt is on its final loop. But look, it's a nice looking display piece. It would fit on my desk if I wasn't going to keep Mechagodzilla on my desk. Like, the face isn't too bad. Looks like Kev. Even got the mole. Oh, your mole. But yeah, just a little bit too small. And if you compare it to something that's a little bit too big, how's this for madness? Like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the Mattel Kevin Nash, or do you prefer the Grapplers and Gimmicks Diesel? They've both got their benefits and their minuses. Like, one's too big, one's too small. But still happy to have it. Look, he's got his fist up, and Barry's got his fist up. Like, even the Wyndham fist, like, sort of like comparing them, like the Wyndham fist is just bigger. It just needed just a little bit. Mitch, could we get a bit of a redo with slightly just bigger proportions? And my man, you would have had it, but for the cause, for everything that it is, it certainly it gets my support. I'm glad I got it. And he'll look fine amongst all of my retros. I just wish he was a little bit bigger. Um, just wish he was just that little bit bigger. It's hard. I don't know how well that's coming across. And I'm a terrible toy tuber. But it's. I think he does look cool with the belt, don't you? Like, I think I'm better off leaving it on Diesel and not putting it back on the ring. For those that know what I'm talking about, like of how I had the belt displayed. Does anybody have a link for me where I can get the repro belts? I'd like to get tags, ICs, have a bit of that. How about I go hunt a big gold and get Nate to carry it? Give me 2 secs. But anyway, I've got a big gold. And I am going to put him with Flair. Look at that. Gonna get Nate to sort of hold. This wasn't worth it after all that trouble, but you can sort of have Flair like that. Flair would traditionally wear the big gold under the robe, but you could have him holding it up, getting ready to. He sort of was in this, I think, when he challenged Hogan. But yeah, you're not going to put it over the robe. Who used to wear it over the robe? Was that a Rick Rude thing? I don't know. It was always weird to wear the belt over the robe. I sort of felt you would wear it under the robe. I'm so mad that intro started playing there because I may have to edit that, and I don't know how to edit, which is very scary. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope and watching. I hope you enjoyed my reviews. You can find us on Patreon if you want to support the show. Us, me, Mitch and Jonesy, because we do Geek Dudes and Hey, it's a podcast. And patreon.com/C/refreshing thoughts podcast/membership. For $5 Australian a month, you can subscribe and hear me somehow have StreamYard issues where it starts playing the intro. Or you can spend it on YouTube Premium and not get ads. I would understand that. But yeah, if you can support the show, it would be great, as StreamYard is super expensive for those sorts of faults. Thank you to my good friends Shine Worldwide who supplied our intro music. You can find them on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, where all good music is found, and they are good music. And thank you to Horde World for the intro. I don't know why it kept interrupting. I feel you've built a bug in. I am Chris Fresh. Thank you for checking it out. Check out these figures. They're really cool. Let me know your thoughts below. Leave me a comment. You can comment on social media. And click like and subscribe. That's what all the kids tell you to do. And I'm asking you to do the same. Speak to you soon. Hooroo.